The ship called Silent Observer moved through space without making a sound. Its hull was covered in special material that bent light around it, making it invisible to any scanner or eye. Inside the ship, 3 alien beings sat at their control stations, watching the blue and green planet that had become the galaxy's greatest mystery. Dekmar was the first to speak. His lizard-like head turned toward his companions as he checked his instruments. "We have arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. All stealth systems are working perfectly. They cannot see us." Zilpha nodded from her station. Her body seemed to shift and blur slightly as she moved, like smoke trying to hold a solid shape. "Good. I'm already scanning their communication networks. These humans seem to talk to each other constantly." The third member of their team, Nexus, was different from the others. Part machine and part living creature, his voice had a strange electronic quality when he spoke. "I am translating their languages now. They have thousands of different ways to speak to each other, but I am learning them all." For 3 days, the team watched and listened. They intercepted radio signals, television broadcasts, and internet communications. They studied Earth's satellites and watched the humans go about their daily lives. What they discovered confused them more with each passing hour. "This makes no sense," Tekkamar said, staring at his screens. "I see no evidence of advanced weapons, no energy shields protecting their cities, no massive space stations guarding their planet." Zilpha was reading through human news reports when she stopped suddenly. "Wait, look at this." She sent the information to her teammates' screens. According to their own records, these humans have no idea that aliens exist. They are still searching for signs of life in space. Nexus processed the data quickly. Confirmed. Their space agency called NASA has been looking for alien signals for decades. Their military organizations show no evidence of preparing for extraterrestrial threats. They appear completely unaware of the attacks against their planet. "But that is impossible," Tekmar growled. "The Zelkaran Death Fleet had 300 ships. The Machina war drones numbered in the thousands. How could humans destroy such forces without knowing about them?" The answer came slowly as they dug deeper into Earth's information systems. Zilpha discovered something that made her form flicker with surprise. "I have found their military networks. These humans, they are always fighting." She shared what she had learned. Earth's history was filled with wars, big wars, small wars, wars that lasted years and wars that lasted days. The humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years without stopping. "Look at these weapons," Nexus said, his voice filled with electronic amazement. "They have created devices that can destroy entire cities. They call them nuclear bombs. They have thousands of them." Tekkamar studied the data about human nuclear weapons. "These are crude compared to our plasma cannons, but there are so many of them, and they seem proud of having them." What disturbed the aliens most was how openly humans discussed their military power. Their news networks showed detailed reports about weapons tests. Their governments published information about their armies. Their entertainment showed detailed battle scenes that revealed advanced tactics and strategies. "They are not hiding their strength," Zilpha observed. "They are showing it off. Why would they do that if they had secret defenses against alien attack?" Nexus had been analyzing human behavior patterns when he made a discovery that shocked his companions. "I have found something important. These humans do not just fight to win territories or resources. They fight to completely destroy their enemies." He showed them examples from human history. Wars where entire civilizations had been wiped out. Battles where the goal was not just victory but the total elimination of the opposing force. Military strategies designed to crush not just armies, but entire nations' ability to make war. "This is different from galactic warfare," Tekmar said slowly. "Most species fight until one side surrenders. These humans fight until nothing is left of their enemy." Down on Earth's surface, Colonel Jake Murphy sat in a military base called NORAD, deep inside a mountain. He was watching screens that showed the space around Earth when he noticed something unusual. For just a moment, his sensors had detected something that should not have been there. "Rodriguez, come look at this," he called to his assistant. I'm getting some weird readings from Sector 7. Captain Maria Rodriguez walked over to check the data. Probably just space junk, sir. Or maybe a small meteor that burned up. Murphy frowned at his screen. Maybe, but keep an eye on it. Something feels off. Far away in California, Dr. Lisa Grant was working late at her computer. She studied radio signals from space, looking for signs of alien life. Tonight, she had detected brief energy bursts that did not match any known natural phenomenon. That's strange, she said to herself, recording the signals for later study. Almost like someone was scanning our communication satellites. She made notes about the unusual readings and planned to investigate further in the morning. But like most unusual reports, her findings would likely be buried in paperwork and forgotten by people who had more pressing concerns. Back on the Silent Observer, the three aliens continued their investigation. The more they learned about humans, the more worried they became. These were not peaceful beings protected by mysterious guardians. These were creatures who had turned warfare into an art form. I am beginning to understand, Nexus said quietly. The missing fleets did not encounter a hidden defense system. They encountered a species that has been perfecting the art of war for its entire existence. Thekmar's claws clicked nervously against his control panel. A species that assumes every stranger is an enemy to be destroyed. Zilpha's form solidified as she came to a terrible realization. We need to learn exactly what happened to those missing fleets, and we need to do it without these humans noticing us. The three aliens looked at each other with growing fear. They had come to solve a mystery, but what they were discovering was far more terrifying than they had expected. The ship's Silent Observer drifted through the cold darkness of space like a ghost. Its special coating made it invisible to any radar or scanner that might be watching from the small blue planet ahead. Inside the ship, three very different alien beings worked at their control stations, each one focused on solving the greatest mystery in the galaxy. Thekmar checked his instruments with careful precision. His reptilian eyes could see in many different types of light, and his clawed hands moved quickly over the controls. We are now at the edge of the Earth system, he announced to his teammates. All hiding systems are working perfectly. The humans cannot detect us. At the second station, Zilpha's form seemed to shift like smoke in the dim light of the ship. Her species could change from solid to mist at will, making them perfect spies. I am already listening to their communications, she said in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. These humans never stop talking to each other. The third alien was perhaps the strangest of all. Nexus was part machine and part living creature, with wires and circuits growing through his organic tissue like metal veins. When he spoke, his voice had a mechanical quality that made it sound like a computer trying to be human. I am learning their languages now. They speak in thousands of different ways, but my processors can understand them all. For the first day, the three aliens simply watched and listened. They picked up radio signals from Earth, intercepted television broadcasts, and studied the flow of information through the planet's communication networks. What they discovered made no sense at all. This is impossible, Thekmar said, his tail twitching with confusion. I see their cities, their vehicles, their spacecraft. Everything looks primitive compared to galactic technology. Where are the massive weapons that destroyed our fleets? Zilpha had been reading human news reports when she suddenly stopped moving. Her misty form became more solid as she focused on what she had found. Look at this information, she said, sending data to her companions. According to their own records, these humans do not believe aliens exist. They are still searching for proof of life on other planets. Nexus processed the information in milliseconds. This data is correct. Their space agency continues to look for alien signals. Their military forces show no preparation for attacks from space. They appear to have no knowledge of the 17 fleets that came to destroy them. But how is that possible? Thekmar demanded. The Zelkaran Death Fleet had hundreds of ships. The Machina Collective sent thousands of war machines. How could humans defeat such forces without even knowing about the battles? The answer began to reveal itself as they dug deeper into Earth's information systems. Zilpha discovered something that made her form flicker with shock. I have accessed their military databases. These humans, they never stop fighting each other. She shared what she had learned with her teammates. Earth's history was a continuous story of warfare. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Big wars that involved entire continents, small wars between neighboring countries, civil wars where humans fought their own people, religious wars, economic wars, wars over territory, resources, and ideas. Look at their weapons development, Nexus said, his electronic voice filled with amazement. They have created bombs that can destroy entire cities. They call them nuclear weapons. They have built thousands of these devices. Thekmar studied the data about human nuclear arsenals. These weapons are crude compared to our plasma technology, but the numbers are staggering, and they seem proud of possessing such destructive power. What disturbed the aliens most was how openly humans discussed their military capabilities. Their news networks broadcast detailed reports about weapons testing. Their governments published information about military spending and troop movements. Their entertainment industry created movies and games that showed realistic combat scenarios and advanced military tactics. They are not hiding their strength, Zilpha observed. They are displaying it for everyone to see. This behavior makes no sense if they possessed secret defenses against alien invasion. Nexus had been analyzing patterns in human behavior when he made a discovery that alarmed his companions. I have identified something significant about human warfare. These beings do not fight simply to achieve victory. They fight to completely eliminate their opponents. He showed them examples from human military history, wars where entire civilizations had been wiped from existence, battles where the objective was not just to defeat the enemy army, but to destroy the enemy's entire capacity to make war. Military doctrines designed to crush not just opposing forces, but the societies that supported them. This approach to warfare is different from anything in galactic civilization, Thekmar said slowly. Most species fight until one side surrenders or retreats. These humans fight until nothing remains of their enemy. Far below on Earth's surface, Colonel Jake Murphy sat in the command center of NORAD, buried deep inside Cheyenne Mountain. He was monitoring the screens that tracked objects in space around Earth when something unusual caught his attention. For just a few seconds, his sensors had detected an energy signature that did not match any known satellite or space debris. Sergeant Baker, take a look at this, he called to his assistant. I'm getting some anomalous readings from grid reference, 77 Alpha. Sergeant Tim Baker walked over to examine the data. Could be a small asteroid, sir. Or maybe interference from one of our own satellites. Murphy frowned at his display. Maybe. But log it anyway. Something about this doesn't feel right. On the other side of the country, Dr. Lisa Grant was working late at the SETI Institute in California. She spent her nights listening to radio signals from space, hoping to find evidence of intelligent alien life. Tonight, she had detected brief energy pulses that did not match any natural cosmic phenomenon. That's odd, she said to herself, recording the signals for analysis. Almost like someone was scanning our communication satellites. She made detailed notes about the unusual readings and planned to investigate further when she had more time. But like many unusual reports in the scientific community, her findings would likely be forgotten among more pressing research projects. Back aboard the Silent Observer, the three aliens continued their investigation with growing unease. The more they learned about human civilization, the more frightened they became. These were not peaceful beings protected by mysterious guardians or ancient technology. These were creatures who had spent their entire evolutionary history perfecting the art of destroying their enemies. I am beginning to understand what happened to the missing fleets, Nexus said quietly. They did not encounter a hidden defense system. They encountered a species that has been preparing for total war since the beginning of their existence. Thekmar's claws drummed nervously against his control panel. A species that views every unknown contact as a potential threat to be eliminated. Zilpha's form became more solid as the terrible truth began to dawn on her. We need to discover exactly what happened to those 17 fleets, and we need to learn this information without letting the humans know we are here. The three aliens looked at each other with increasing dread. They had come to Earth's system to solve a simple mystery. Instead, they were discovering something far more terrifying than they had ever imagined. The silent observer continued its hidden watch over Earth as the three alien scouts dug deeper into human history. What they discovered in the following days made their fear grow stronger with each passing hour. The humans were not just warriors by accident. They were warriors by design, shaped by millions of years of constant conflict into something the galaxy had never seen before. Nexus was the first to make the connection. His computer brain had been analyzing thousands of hours of human historical records when he called his teammates to his station. "I have found something that explains everything," he said, his electronic voice filled with worry. "Look at this data about human evolution." The information he shared painted a terrifying picture. Unlike most intelligent species in the galaxy, humans had evolved as hunters and fighters. Their ancestors had survived by killing other creatures and competing with rival groups for resources. Every major step in human development had been driven by the need to fight more effectively. "They learned to make tools not for building," Zilpha observed, her misty form growing more solid as she concentrated. "They learned to make tools for killing." Tekkamar studied the evolutionary data with his sharp reptilian eyes. Most species develop intelligence to avoid conflict. These humans developed intelligence to win conflicts. The aliens watched archived footage of human wars throughout history. They saw battles from thousands of years ago, when humans fought with simple weapons made of stone and metal. They watched the development of gunpowder, cannons, and rifles. They observed the massive conflicts of the 20th century, where humans had killed millions of their own species using increasingly sophisticated weapons. "Look at how quickly they advance," Nexus said, displaying a timeline on his screen. "In just 100 years, they went from fighting with horses and swords to dropping atomic bombs from flying machines. But what truly frightened the aliens was not the weapons themselves. It was the way humans thought about warfare. They discovered that humans had turned fighting into a science, studying every aspect of combat with the same intensity other species used to study art or philosophy. Zilpha found a human military academy called West Point, where young humans learned the art of war. She watched recordings of their classes and was horrified by what she saw. The instructors did not just teach students how to win battles. They taught them how to destroy entire civilizations. They study the complete destruction of their enemies, she reported to her teammates. They call it total war. The goal is not just to defeat the opposing army, but to eliminate the enemy's ability to ever fight again. On Earth's surface, Marine Sergeant Rick Davis was conducting a training exercise that the aliens observed with growing alarm. His unit was practicing something called urban warfare, learning to fight in cities where civilians lived alongside soldiers. The tactical skills displayed by these humans exceeded what most galactic species achieved after centuries of military evolution. "Move! Move! Move!" Davis shouted to his soldiers as they practiced clearing buildings. "Remember, the enemy could be anywhere. Every window, every doorway, every rooftop is a potential threat. You eliminate the threat before it eliminates you." Get the eye? Aliens watched as the human soldiers worked together with frightening efficiency. They communicated without words, using hand signals and tactical movements that showed years of training. They adapted to changing situations instantly, turning every piece of terrain into an advantage. Their tactical flexibility is beyond anything in our military databases, Tekkamar observed. They can fight in any environment, against any opponent, using any available resources. Dr. Amy Foster was giving a lecture at a human university that the aliens intercepted through their communication systems. She was a military historian, and her words sent chills through the reconnaissance team. "Human warfare is unique in the known universe," she told her students. "Every human civilization has independently developed increasingly efficient methods of killing. Competition between human groups has driven rapid innovation in weapons technology. We have turned warfare into both an art and a science." She showed her students examples of human military innovation. Humans had learned to fight on land, at sea, in the air, and in space. They had developed weapons that could kill from great distances and weapons that could destroy entire cities. They had created strategies for fighting in every possible environment and against every possible opponent. What makes human warfare so effective, Dr. Foster continued, is our willingness to do whatever it takes to win. We do not fight by rules of honor or codes of conduct. We fight to survive, and survival means the complete destruction of anything that threatens us. The aliens discovered that humans had even created entertainment based on warfare. Movies, books, and games that celebrated violence and taught tactical thinking to children. Human culture was built around the idea that conflict was inevitable, and that only the strongest would survive. Nexus found records of human military spending that shocked his companions. They spend more resources on weapons than most species spend on their entire civilizations, he reported, and they are constantly developing new ways to kill more efficiently. The reconnaissance team watched footage of human weapons testing. They saw bombs that could level mountains, guns that could fire thousands of rounds per minute, and missiles that could strike targets on the other side of the planet. But the most frightening discovery was that humans were never satisfied with their current weapons. They were always working to create something more deadly. They have a saying, Zilpha discovered, if you want peace, prepare for war. They believe that the only way to avoid conflict is to be so dangerous that no one dares to attack them. Thecamar realized the horrible truth first. The missing fleets did not encounter a peaceful species with hidden defenses. They encountered a species that has spent its entire existence preparing to destroy anything that threatens it. The aliens watched as human children played games that taught them about warfare. They saw teenagers joining military organizations to learn combat skills. They observed adults who had never been soldiers but still knew how to fight because violence was part of their culture. Every human is a potential warrior, Nexus observed. Their entire society is organized around the principle that they must be ready to fight at any moment. The most disturbing discovery came when the aliens accessed human military planning documents. They found detailed strategies for fighting enemies that did not yet exist. Plans for battles in environments humans had never seen. Weapons designed to kill creatures humans had never met. They are not just preparing to fight current enemies, Zilpha realized. They are preparing to fight any enemy that might ever exist. The reconnaissance team began to understand why 17 alien fleets had vanished without a trace. They had not encountered a hidden defense system or ancient guardians. They had encountered a species that viewed the entire universe as a potential battlefield and every unknown visitor as an enemy to be destroyed. As the aliens prepared to dig deeper into Earth's military secrets, they could not shake the feeling that they were studying the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The humans did not just fight to win. They fought to ensure that their enemies could never threaten them again. And now, 3 alien scouts were flying invisible through their solar system, gathering intelligence about their capabilities. If the humans discovered them, the reconnaissance team realized they would probably not live long enough to report their findings back to the Galactic Council. On the 7th day of their mission, Nexus made a breakthrough that changed everything. His electronic brain had been working for hours to crack the security codes of Earth's most secret military databases. When he finally succeeded, what he found inside made all 3 aliens freeze with terror. I have accessed their classified files, Nexus announced, his mechanical voice trembling with an emotion that should have been impossible for a computer. I know what happened to our missing fleets. Thecamar and Zilpha gathered around his station as he displayed the information on their screens. The files were marked with human words like top secret and eyes only, and classified beyond black. Inside these files were detailed reports about 17 different incidents that the human military had carefully documented and studied. They call them unusual debris recovery operations, Nexus explained. The humans have been finding pieces of our destroyed fleets for decades. They collect the wreckage, study it, and learn from it. The first file showed photographs that made Thecamar's scales turn pale. Scattered across a desert were the twisted remains of Zelkaran death ships, their once mighty hulls cracked open like broken eggs. Human soldiers in protective suits were carefully gathering pieces of the alien technology for transport to secret laboratories. General Pete Williams sat in his office deep inside the Pentagon, reviewing reports that few humans would ever see. He opened a folder marked Project Starfall and studied photographs of alien wreckage recovered from sites around the world. Each incident had been classified at the highest levels, known only to a small group of military leaders and scientists. Another, debris field found in Nevada, he said to his assistant, Colonel Sarah Davis. Same pattern as the others. Complete destruction, no survivors, no explanation for what caused the ships to crash. Davis looked at the photographs with professional interest. Any useful technology this time, sir? Always, Williams replied. Our boys in the lab are having a field day with this stuff. Every piece of wreckage teaches us something new about what we're dealing with. The aliens aboard the Silent Observer read these reports with growing horror. The humans had not just defended themselves against alien attacks. They had studied every piece of wreckage, analyzed every weapon, and learned from every failed invasion attempt. Zilpha found the file about the Zelkaran Death Fleet, and what she read made her misty form flicker with shock. The Zelkarans were destroyed by nuclear weapons launched from submarines, she reported. The humans observed their energy signatures, calculated their shield frequencies, and realized that electromagnetic pulses from atomic explosions would overload their defensive systems. The file contained detailed technical drawings showing how human scientists had studied Zelkaran shield technology. They had run thousands of computer simulations to find weaknesses. They had tested different types of nuclear weapons to see which would be most effective. When the Death Fleet finally arrived, the humans were ready. Submarine USS Montana reported successful strike on unknown aerial targets, read one military report. All 17 enemy vessels neutralized. Recovery teams dispatched to collect debris for analysis. Thickamar discovered the file about the Machina Collective's war drones, and what he learned made his hunting instincts scream danger. The machine army was turned against itself, he said, his voice filled with disbelief. The humans found a way to hack their control systems. Engineer Tom Brady had led the team that analyzed captured Machina technology. His report described how human computer experts had studied the drone's networking protocols and discovered they could be hijacked using modified computer viruses. The entire cybernetic armada had been forced to attack itself in a battle that lasted less than 6 minutes. The enemy machines were sophisticated but vulnerable, Brady had written. Their networked intelligence was also their greatest weakness. Once we gained access to their command structure, we could make them do whatever we wanted. The most disturbing file was about the ethereal Dominion's psychic warriors. Nexus read the report aloud, his electronic voice filled with amazement and fear. The humans had prepared for mental attacks by selecting pilots who were naturally resistant to psychic manipulation. Captain Sue Miller had been chosen to lead the defense against the ethereal Dominion because of her unique brain structure. Medical tests had shown that she and others like her were immune to telepathic influence. When the psychic warriors tried to crush human minds, they found opponents they could not affect. The enemy appeared to possess some form of mental influence capability, Miller's mission report stated. However, selected personnel with confirmed psychic resistance were able to engage and neutralize all hostile targets using sonic weapons, designed to disrupt their telepathic organs. The aliens realized with growing terror that each attacking fleet had provided Earth with valuable intelligence about galactic military capabilities. Every invasion had taught the humans something new about how to fight alien technology. Every failed attack had made Earth's defenses stronger. They learned from everything, Zilpha said, her form becoming more solid as fear focused her thoughts. Every weapon we use against them becomes a weapon they can use against us. But the most frightening discovery was yet to come. Deep in the BU, classified files, Nexus found evidence that the humans had been preparing for alien contact long before any fleet had attacked. Project Blue Book from the 1950s, UFO investigation programs. Secret military units trained specifically to fight non-human enemies. Dr. Helen Parker, working for a classified government program, had been studying reports of strange visitors throughout human history. Her research showed that Earth had been visited by peaceful alien expeditions many times over the centuries. Each time the visitors had been met with suspicion, fear, and violence. Historical records indicate 17 separate incidents of contact with non-human intelligences, Parker's report stated. In every case, the visitors were either killed or driven away by local human populations. This suggests an instinctive, xenophobic response that treats any unknown intelligence as a threat to be eliminated. The reconnaissance team read Parker's research with growing dread. She had documented cases where peaceful alien explorers had been attacked by human tribes, governments, and military forces. The pattern was always the same. Humans saw strangers from space and immediately assumed they were enemies. They do not wait to determine if visitors are peaceful, Thekmar observed. They attack first and ask questions later. Air Force Captain Bob Stevens was reviewing satellite data when he made a discovery that the aliens intercepted through their communication monitoring. Earth's orbital defense network was far more extensive than it appeared. Hidden missile platforms, disguised weapon satellites, and experimental defense systems that could target objects throughout the solar system. Tracking stations report nominal function on all defense grids, Stevens reported to his superiors. All early warning systems operational. If anything bigger than a basketball enters our space, we'll know about it immediately. The aliens realized that Earth was not just defended. It was a weapon pointed at anyone who approached. Every satellite, every radar station, every military base was part of a defensive network designed to detect and destroy threats from space. They have turned their entire planet into a fortress, Nexus said quietly. Every human installation serves a military purpose. Every piece of technology can be used as a weapon. Zilpha made the final, terrifying connection. The 17 fleets did not disappear mysteriously. They were destroyed by a species that has been preparing for war with the unknown for its entire existence. And now, Thekmar added, his claws clicking nervously, we are the unknown. The three aliens looked at each other with the full understanding of what they had discovered. Earth was not a target to be conquered. It was a trap waiting to spring on anyone foolish enough to approach. The humans had spent thousands of years preparing for enemies they had never seen, and when those enemies finally arrived, they had been ready. The reconnaissance mission had answered the question of why no one returned from attacking Earth, but the answer was more terrifying than any of them had imagined. The three aliens aboard the Silent Observer prepared their final report as the 10th day of their mission approached. They had solved the mystery of the missing fleets, but the answer filled them with such terror that they almost wished they had never learned the truth. As Nexus compiled their findings, he made one last discovery that changed everything they thought they knew about humanity. There is something more, Nexus announced, his electronic voice filled with dread. I have found additional records in human historical databases. Earth has been visited by peaceful alien expeditions throughout their history. He shared the data with his teammates, and what they saw made their fear complete. Ancient cave paintings showing flying objects and strange beings. Medieval records describing visitors from the sky who offered gifts and knowledge. Modern reports of contact attempts that had been covered up by human governments. Dr. Helen Parker worked late in her office at a classified research facility in Colorado. She was an anthropologist studying ancient civilizations, but her real job was something the public never knew about. She documented evidence of alien contact throughout human history for a secret government program. Case file 2847, she dictated to her computer. Stone carvings found in Peru show clear depictions of non-human entities offering what appears to be technology to local inhabitants. Historical accounts from the same period describe these visitors being attacked and killed by tribal warriors. Parker had spent 20 years collecting similar evidence from around the world. Egyptian hieroglyphs showing peaceful contact followed by violence. Chinese texts describing sky people who were murdered by imperial soldiers. Native American stories about star visitors who were driven away by suspicious tribal chiefs. This pattern is consistent across all cultures and time periods, her research concluded. When humans encounter unknown intelligence, their immediate response is fear followed by aggression. They do not attempt communication or peaceful contact. They attack first and eliminate the perceived threat. The aliens read Parker's research with growing horror. She had documented dozens of cases where peaceful alien explorers had been killed by human populations that viewed them as threats to be eliminated. The pattern was clear and terrifying. humans had an instinctive response to treat any unknown intelligence as an enemy. They do not distinguish between hostile and peaceful visitors, Zilpha observed, her misty form flickering with anxiety. To humans, anything alien is automatically dangerous. Thecamar studied the historical data with his sharp hunter's instincts. This explains why they were ready for our fleets. They have been expecting alien attacks for thousands of years because they cannot imagine any other kind of alien contact. But the most disturbing revelation was still to come. Nexus discovered that human military doctrine was built on the assumption that any potential enemy must be completely destroyed before they could become a threat. Their entire defense strategy was based on preemptive strikes and overwhelming force. Air Force Captain Bob Stevens was reviewing satellite data at Peterson Space Force Base when he noticed something that made him reach for his secure communication device. For several days, his instruments had been detecting unusual energy signatures in Earth's orbital space. The readings were faint but consistent, suggesting something was out there that should not be. "Command, this is Stevens," he said, into his encrypted radio. "I have confirmation of anomalous contacts in Sector 7. Request permission to activate tracking protocols." "Permission granted," came the reply. "Initiate full spectrum analysis. If there's something out there, we need to know what it is." Stevens began activating Earth's hidden orbital defense network. Satellites that appeared to be simple communication relays suddenly revealed advanced sensor arrays. Space stations that seemed designed for research started powering up weapon systems. The entire solar system became a web of detection and destruction, aimed at finding whatever was hiding in the darkness. "Unknown contact confirmed," Stevens reported. "Object appears to be using some form of stealth technology. Recommend immediate response." On the silent observer, alarms began sounding as Thecmar's instruments detected the human scanning efforts. "They have found us," he announced, his claws moving quickly over his controls. "Earth's defense systems are locking onto our position." The aliens realized with complete terror that their investigation had been discovered. The humans were not just dangerous because they destroyed attacking fleets. They were dangerous because they assumed everything unknown was hostile and acted accordingly. "We must transmit our findings immediately," Nexus said, opening a communication channel to the Galactic Council. "If we are destroyed, at least our data will survive." The message they sent was brief but contained the most important information in galactic history. Earth was not protected by mysterious guardians or ancient technology. It was defended by a species that had evolved specifically to kill anything that threatened them. Humans viewed the entire universe as a potential battlefield and every unknown contact as an enemy to be eliminated. As their transmission ended, Zilpha made one final observation that would haunt the galaxy forever. "They are not just defending their planet," she said. "They are preparing to take the war to anyone who might threaten them in the future." The aliens had discovered evidence that humans were already developing faster than light travel. When they achieved that technology, they would not use it for peaceful exploration. They would use it to hunt down and destroy any species they perceived as a threat. Colonel Jake Murphy sat in his command center deep inside NORAD as reports came in from tracking stations around the world. The mysterious object that had been detected near Earth was definitely artificial, definitely not human, and definitely trying to hide from their sensors. "Sir, we have a clean lock on the target," reported his communications officer. "All weapons, systems are ready to fire on your command." Murphy looked at the data on his screens. Unknown technology, stealth capabilities, clearly alien in origin. His training and every human instinct told him there was only one appropriate response. "Fire," he ordered. Space around Earth lit up as hidden weapons platforms launched their attack. Missiles, energy beams, and kinetic projectiles converged on the silent observer's position. The alien ship's stealth systems failed under the massive assault, and within seconds it was nothing but expanding debris. The three aliens aboard never had time to scream. They died instantly, along with their ship and all their equipment. But their final transmission had already reached the Galactic Council, carrying with it the most terrifying news in the history of civilization. Admiral Kexthan read the report in stunned silence. When he finished, he called an emergency session of the full council. Within hours, representatives from every major species in the galaxy had gathered to hear the truth about Earth. The reconnaissance mission has provided us with definitive answers, Kexthan announced to the assembled beings. Earth's defenders are not hiding their strength, and they are not reluctant warriors. Humans are a species that has spent millions of years perfecting the art of killing anything that threatens them. He paused and looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. They view the entire universe as a potential threat, he continued. And their solution to potential threats is simple: complete destruction. The vote was unanimous and immediate. Earth's solar system would be declared a permanent exclusion zone. No ship would approach it. No communication would be attempted. Humanity would be left alone, quarantined on their deadly planet until they either destroyed themselves or found a way to reach the stars. As the council session ended, Admiral Kexthan made one final note in the official record that would serve as a warning for future generations. Some species discover fire. Some discover mathematics. Some discover art or philosophy or peaceful coexistence. Humans discovered war, and they have never stopped perfecting it. They are not defenders. They are predators. And now they know they are not alone in the universe. In his command center on Earth, Colonel Murphy filed his report about the successful destruction of an unidentified alien vessel. He recommended increased vigilance and improved sensor coverage to detect future incursions. The hunt had begun.